comes to working with small businesses in the marketing space, we work on websites, social media, video production, photography, graphic design, blogs, content creation, email marketing, and the like. So I'd like to start off with what marketing is. I think that's often misunderstood. It's a very broad business, broad industry, broad definition, so let's talk about a few examples. Yep. So Google ads often come to mind, social media, television commercials, having a website, that's certainly marketing, email blasts, videos, public relations, which we're about to learn more about right after this, magazine advertising, in-person networking, which is what we're doing right now, that's certainly considered marketing, radio spots, webinars. I'm sorry. Okay. Keep going. So these are all examples of usually what comes to mind when I ask someone what marketing is, or if they want to talk to me about marketing stuff. Okay. So, is that marketing? Yes, but no. So, marketing is really about relationships. So what we just saw were a list of tools that you use to market, but they should all be part of a strategy, and that strategy, if you want to make sure you're marketing correctly, should require you to take those tools and filter them through the lens of, am I building a relationship? So let's talk about why building a relationship through marketing is important. If you have a relationship with a customer or potential customer, they will recognize you. In the murky soup of all the information that's out there, especially on the internet, it's hard to be seen. So recognition is important. More so is trust. If people buy from you, it's typically because they trust you. And if they don't buy from you, it could be because they don't trust you. Trust is very important. They see you as an industry authority, which means that they actually believe you can do what you say you can do for them. Whether it's a service or the product you're selling them does what you advertise. And keeping you top of mind. We, in the marketing space, we often try to illustrate what someone thinks about when they go to make a purchase as a buyer's journey. So I'm not going to go too deep into this, but essentially, you go from nothing, just here, to I have a problem, to how would I solve this problem? Who would solve this problem, and then making the decision to take up that person on solving that problem. So being top of mind is important, because if you're marketing to someone today, that doesn't necessarily mean they're ready to make a purchase today. So the more you're out there, and the more you're communicating, and the more you're sharing your values and building trust and brand recognition, the higher likelihood you will be top of mind if and when that problem arises, and they think of you as a solution. So why should you be marketing? Well, when you look at marketing goals, here are three very popular ones, which you would use to explain why you would be marketing. So, building brand awareness, that's what I was going at before. They need to know you exist, and specifically what your brand is and why it's important. We do marketing to drive sales leads. That's often a very common goal. Obviously, we're here to sell our product, and marketing is not sales, it tees up sales. So marketing, your communication, drives sales leads and gets people that are interested further along that buyer's journey, so you can pick up at the time where sales is important and make your pitch. And increasing pride of ownership. I kind of laughed when I put that one in there, because that's often a justification in my mind as to why I might spend a little more for product A versus product B. But it's important. How people feel about what they buy, whether it's a tangible good or a service, goes a long way. So when it comes to building brand awareness, they need to know you exist. They need to know why your product or service is special. Let's pretend you're a plumber. And in that buyer's journey scenario, someone has a leaky faucet. They go online, they Google who's a plumber. They'll probably Google based on their area. If you have a leaky pipe in New York, you don't need a plumber from California. So they start to filter down what's available to solve their problem. But plumbing's plumbing, isn't it? Well, if you're a plumber, you would not want people to think that. You would like to think that there's something special about what you do. Maybe you've been in business for 20, 25 years, and it's that legacy of being a plumber and all the experience that comes with that that makes you different from somebody else. Or maybe you have a team that operates 24/7. If they have a water issue at 3 in the morning, they can call your business because you could be there. Getting that information out there is very important so you can differentiate. When you don't differentiate and you come across as just a commodity, a plumber is a plumber is a plumber, you're only competing at that point on price. That would be the only difference between you and the next plumber, and no one ever wants to compete based on price. So that helps explain the next bullet of why you're the best option, and do they understand how you can solve their problem? You know, a lot of marketing that I like to promote is based on education. I think that an educated consumer, a smart consumer, is a good customer for you, because if they understand how the process works, you wouldn't teach them how to be a plumber, for example, but if they understood the mechanics of what makes correct plumbing correct, they appreciate what you do, what makes you better than someone else, and they also appreciate and can understand and accept your pricing because they've been educated accordingly. So when it comes to driving sales leads, you're obviously looking very often for new customers to sell to. Depending on your business, that's more important than anything else. Although certain businesses with recurring services, that becomes less important, but we always need to get new blood into the system. The second bullet here, upselling to your existing customers, is also important. We call that ABM, or account-based marketing. And that's your opportunity to sell to a customer you already have an adjacent service that could also help them. So if you've already built up trust and rapport with them for service A, but you also offer service B, they might as well go to you for that service, but they need to know that you do that. And that's an opportunity for you to drive sales leads from your existing database. Getting referrals from happy customers, very, very important. You can say anything you want about your business, marketing your business, and say how great you are, but there's nothing more powerful than a third party that really has nothing to do with your business saying how great you are. So keeping your customers happy and asking them for referrals is a great way to drive sales leads. And then getting referrals from affiliate partnerships, that could be an entirely separate conversation altogether, but there are affiliate businesses out there that will get a little piece of commission for every lead they send your way. Depending on your business, that could be an opportunity for you. So increasing pride of ownership helps with that previous point about happy customers. It keeps them happy and gives them reason to refer business to you. It helps to make the customers evangelists of your brand, and it keeps your customers coming back for more. Think about whatever business you're in, how you can make your customer feel better about the service or product that they get from you, and try to focus on communicating that to them. They'll appreciate it and you'll reap the dividends. So, quick question. This could be any business, maybe it's yours, maybe it's mine, we'll pretend it's marketing. And you have these two teams, Team A and Team B, trying to get your service to do your marketing or anything else. This is what you have to work with. So how many people think Team A is going to do the best job for them? How many people think Team B is going to do the best job for them? Most people choose A, but it's actually a trick question. Well, there's a lot of reasons why it's a trick question. Primarily, though, you don't know anything about these people, right? You don't know which of these teams actually has experience doing what it is that you need to have done. Who's been in business for a while? Who acts professionally? What do they charge? What's their success record? Do they have an office? Does that even matter? You don't know anything. This is an example of judging a book by its cover. We're all taught not to do that. But if you were Googling these two teams, whatever keywords you were searching to solve a problem, and it just came up, and you had no information on either team, you'd be making a judgment call probably by judging a book by its cover. And that leads us to your website and dressing for success. Now, I know we have a corporate stylist here, which is a perfect segue for something like this. I think when she stood up and explained what she did, we all understood, yeah, I have to look a certain way to emit that vibe of success, professionalism, creativity, whatever it is that applies to your business. What's often I don't want to say misunderstood, but what's often not focused on is how important it is to dress your website. And that's what we're going to take a dive into now. Because a bad website equals lost business. So let's talk about what a bad website could be. So first, it's an unprofessional aesthetic. Just remember teams A and B from a moment ago. Something I tell clients often, it's kind of the magic of the internet. You can have an awful business. You can have a terrible business. Maybe you take advantage of people, or maybe you have the best intentions, but your product's garbage. If you have a great website, it's amazing how much business you can get. Now, that sounds kind of obvious, but the opposite of that is true and almost more important. Because we're all good people here. We have good businesses, we have good intentions, we have good products. But if we have a poor-looking website, no one's going to give us the time of day. And we're going to lose business to the awful businesses out there just because they had the right aesthetic. So aesthetic is super duper important. Confusing navigation or user experience. Sometimes that's from aesthetics. Sometimes it's just a flow issue on how their website was designed. Maybe how they navigate and limiting the number of steps it takes to get from what they're looking for to checkout. Maybe that process is inefficient, and that leads to a bad website experience. Outdated or inaccurate content. This one comes up a lot. It's 2024, so I don't run into too many people that don't have websites, unless they're a startup or something. But often what I run into is, yeah, we have a website, but it's 5, 6, 7, 10 years old. And the funny part is they'll often follow up by saying, and I don't even know if what's on there is accurate. So you have this entity that's working on behalf of your business to promote your business and sell products with global visibility. It's up 24/7, and it has wrong information on there. Happens often. Sometimes you have too many or too few pieces of information on a page. I'm sure many of you have gone to websites where it's one page, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's one page, and it just goes and goes and goes and goes, and they're just jamming all this information into the page. Some of my business also involves designing print ads for magazines, and that's a common issue that comes up in print ads for magazines. Simple, clean and simple is the way to go, right? But you'll get clients, especially if they're new to advertising, that want to jam in as much information as possible. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Because they want to maximize in their mind the value that they're getting for what they're paying for the ad. But what they don't realize is less is more. And the more garbage you jam into that ad, the less people are going to look at the ad. And then they get no action from the ad. The same applies to a website. And I think when it comes to the internet, we'll all agree that attention spans are less. So you need to get to the point, and you need to be efficient with that, and you have to be mindful of that when you're designing your websites. Poor mobile experience. This is kind of a no-brainer because we all have cell phones and we're always going online through our cell phones. Very often that's where the first touch or the first interaction with your business occurs, on a cell phone. So having a website that is quote-unquote responsive, meaning that when the site loads, the server determines if it's coming up on a desktop, a tablet, or a cell phone. It responsibly changes the design on the fly to give you the best experience. Super important. What's less understood is that search engines like Google will actually penalize you if their algorithms determine you don't have a positive mobile experience. So logistically, you want the website to perform well on mobile because we all know we need to have that positive experience, but we may not realize that we're also getting penalized in search ranks because Google's upset that the mobile experience would be poor should they bring us up as a link in a search result. And of course, slow load times and technical incompatibilities. You can't have a site that's broken. You can't have a site that takes too long to load. That was a huge thing when cell phone web surfing first came out because bandwidth was slower than it is, but it's still a factor now. Again, people have short attention spans. So I'm focusing on websites today because there are a lot of things we can talk about with marketing, as we saw in one of the earlier slides, because I believe it is at the core of your communications. Everything that you do for marketing your business, from social media outreach, to newsletters, to video, to advertising, to PR, they're all going to communicate and reach. They're going to communicate to people and reach them at different areas where these people are. You're going to your customers, that's great, but you have to send them somewhere. And sending them back to your website is important. It's important because if you consider like social media, for example, you don't own it. You know, there's a lot of talk on the news these days about what's going to happen to TikTok in the United States. If you built a business as an influencer on TikTok and it goes away, overnight your business could be gone. Or you could say something on Facebook or Instagram that is deemed inappropriate accidentally and be banned from there and lose all of that. But you don't have to lose your website. You have a website built, you own that. You can move it from one host to the next. It's terrific. So having a website as the core is very important. Plus, every one of these outreach ideas, and many others that aren't on this graphic, have the opportunity to live in the internet forever, or at least for a long time. And if they're all going back to your website and you need to change your message, you can do so in one spot. And when people land there, they can see the latest and greatest information you have to share. So next, social media for business. I wanted to talk about social media for business because it comes up a lot when I'm interacting with clients or people that are interested in being a client. I'm Gen X, so I'm in that generation where I'm fortunate enough to, well, actually, apparently we go both ways. We could either really be good at technology or be really, really bad at technology. And, you know, business owners now, you know, we're spanning 4, sometimes 5 generations, and not that social media is necessarily generation-based, but when I was growing up, social media wasn't a thing. You know, I actually, when I say I've been doing marketing for 25 years, what I relish in that remark is that I've seen so much change over time. You know, I was building websites, writing HTML from scratch, and I was doing graphic design in some programs that don't exist anymore. And this was 10 plus years before MySpace and Facebook became a thing. And then after a while of them being around, then businesses started to figure out, oh, maybe this could be good for us, but they didn't really quite figure out how to get there. Anyway, I think that it's important to understand social media for most businesses is important, but you treat social media differently for your business than you would for things you might share personally. So one of those important takeaways, again, marketing is about building relationships, is that you use social media to build relationships. You're not there to sell. That's a huge mistake that people commonly make. Since you can go onto, again, Facebook, Instagram, you name the platform, and make an account for free, there's often a belief that, well, I can advertise my business for free. In theory, and in practice, you could do that. But again, that's not how you build relationships. If any of you are on social media platforms, would you want to follow a brand that's just constantly advertising to you? That's not really why you're following them. You're following them because you want some information. Maybe it's like some insider stuff or just to learn. So sharing valuable insights, asking questions, and being entertaining is how you're effective with your business on social media. I actually totally forgot my first line up there. Social media, aka social networking, is just networking. I want to illustrate that point because everyone in the room's been doing this since 8, 9 o'clock this morning. If we walked up to each individual in the room and said, hey, I do this, let me sell this to you, come buy this right now, and got really pushy, we wouldn't be building relationships, we'd be turning people off. Social networking is the same thing. Sometimes we get lost in the fact of the idea of the tool, but the tool's irrelevant. It's still interacting with other human beings, and we know better. We know that if we want to build relationships, we have to be thoughtful. It's a bi-directional exchange of conversation and information, and you don't start with a sale. So, social networking goals can also mirror the marketing goals we spoke before about building brand awareness, sales leads, and increasing pride of ownership. This platform as a tool is just another vehicle to convey those three things. But in addition to that, you want to build trust and drive traffic to your website. So again, sharing information that's thoughtful and genuine helps build trust. The frequency in which you're sharing this information, the number of touch points, you don't want to go too crazy. You don't want to be the one in the room that just talks for 8 hours straight in social media sense, but you want to share information with enough frequency to be seen and be remembered, and then ultimately using that to drive traffic back to your website. So this is an example of the insider use of social media. So I think we all know who that is in the corner. She's got a massive following. So why do we follow celebrities on X, what was formerly Twitter, where Kim K is massive, or even on YouTube, which is social media? A lot of the reasons why we do this is the insider, in the know stuff. You know, seeing a movie star on the silver screen is cool, but if you got to see what their life is like in real life, and this is someone that's important to you, it's these platforms that allow that to happen. And when you get that sort of insider information, that's way more valuable to you than if they were just promoting their latest movie. That's Mr. Beast, and I forgot what he's up to, but he's got like 75 million followers on YouTube or something crazy like that. Another benefit of social media, if it's of interest, meaning that it's important and valuable to the marketing of your business, could be being an influencer. These guys have made businesses as being an influencer their business. I'm saying that all sorts of weird, but I think you get the idea. So they do so by being genuine, they do so by being themselves. Sometimes they're not, sometimes they're actors or whatever, but they build this following, and when they get enough of that following, they could then become quote unquote an influencer, meaning they have enough of an audience that when they say something, things happen. You know, if this guy wants to promote a candy bar, there's going to be millions of kids buying that candy bar because they have trust in this guy, and he didn't abuse that trust. Okay. And then, of course, as mentioned before, driving web traffic, super important. So, when I'm working with a company, assisting them with their marketing, everything that we do is different because every business is different, right? But one common strategy, one that I like because it's what I consider marketing efficiency, is a combination of blogs, social media, and emails. And sometimes a fourth is video if the budget allows. But it consists of writing blog articles for your website that share insight related to what your business is. So on my website, for example, I have tons of articles, I'm putting them out weekly, that help people understand the various aspects of social media, various aspects of marketing, whether it's social media or website, or what's website hosting, and what makes good graphic design, etc. Those articles are insightful on the website, which is great. It also helps with search engine optimization because it shows Google that you really are what you say you are from a website perspective. But if we craft that content correctly, we can also use it to strip out half a dozen social media posts, and we can take those blogs within that month and do a monthly newsletter, kind of get 3 out of 1. And the reason why I'm mentioning this now in the context of social media is because you would then tease those blogs as they're released through social media and drive traffic back to your website. And that's what I got. Are there any questions?